chart right here that says if you have two exponents, and obviously they have the same base number on the bottom, and you're going to multiply them together, you simply add the exponents. 4 in the case, x to the 3 times x to the 2, just add them, you get x to the 5. So the one for the homework right here, or the classwork, you have -1 and 6. So it really is, when you get down to it, one simple thing, k to the -1 plus 6. So it's just k to the 5. Okay, it's that easy. See how this one's both negative? You got to keep that parentheses. You cannot lose that. That has a meaning, right? You put that here. 11 plus -7 just renders this to be a 4. Same thing with it. Even though it's a fraction, it doesn't change anything. You just add them together. If this is a 0, it's just c over d to the 9. Obviously, this has no meaning. Actually, anything multiplied to the 0 is a 1. So if we think of this as just a 1, that would just give you what you started with. Now look at these, okay? Because they're both negative, it would simply be a to the -8. If you wanted to get rid of that negative, and that's also on the sheet over here, right? If you want to get rid of the negative, you just put it underneath a 1. It's real simple. Okay, so looking at this one, you could make this 1 over a to the 8 because they mean the same thing. These things are equivalent. Now look at this guy. This is a to the 0.5 times up to the -18. And this is the 15. If we add these together, it's just 0.5. And of course, it'd be to the -3. And you could write it like this, 1 over 0.5 to the 3. Okay? These are the same things. I'm going to move this. It's getting a little sloppy looking, all right? Now, how about this guy? This is the -12, and this is just to the 2. Your answer is -t. You got to keep in the parentheses, right? And you would make this to the -10, right? That's fairly straightforward, very simple, okay? This is where it gets a little weird, I'll be honest with you, and so you're going to take your time looking at this, okay? So they're saying find the value of x. In this case, you have to add something to this to get this, all right? And you could look at it like this. I can just get rid of the 12s just for these examples, since they're all the same, especially in everything we're looking at. I can just make this, for this case, -1, right? X, and this -16. Well, I can move that exponent over to here, right? And I can look at it like this because I got to add, we're just adding exponents, right? That's why I'm using a plus first. I'm just looking at the exponents, right? So if that's the case, if I add 1 to this side, add 1 to this side, x would have to be equal to x equals -15, right? Now I'm going to test it. Let's see if this makes sense. So I'm going to erase this, okay? See if this makes sense. -12 in parentheses to the -1 times -12 to the -15. We just add them. Yeah, okay, it comes out right. -12 to the -16, okay? That makes total sense. So once again, this would be x is equal to -15. Let's try this one. Since we're adding exponents, we're just looking at so I'm just looking at the top parts of these equations. They're all numbers. In order to get this to match, so it's going from, and this is a good example for doing this. Watch this. I'm saying -7 plus 28 equals 21. That makes sense. What must x equal for this to occur? X would have to equal a b, right? So if we look at it like that, let me clear the screen here, x has to equal b. So if it's b to the -7 times b to the 28, if I add my exponents, it just ends up being b to the 21. All right? So x must be equal to just B. That letter must be B in order for this to work. Now let's look at this confusing one. It's to distract you with all this. You don't need all this to actually answer the question. We just look at our exponents because they're the ones we're just adding to make this happen. So one says minus 10 plus x. Oh, wait a minute. Look closely, though. It says minus x. Let's just leave it at minus x equals 15. All right. So I'm going to add 10 to this side, add 10 to this side. Okay. I get the number minus x equals 25. If minus x equals 25, x must equal, remember this, if you divide this by minus 1 and this by minus 1, the ones go away, this becomes, x becomes equal to negative 25. That's how it works. Now let's try it out, okay? See if it makes sense. So I'm just going to put, my pen's really kind of goofily big for this. I could try to get it a little closer, but it's kind of sloppy looking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a letter for this. I'm going to make minus 7 over p equal y. I know that sounds weird, but it makes it easier for doing this because this doesn't really matter for what I'm trying to show you. Y to the minus 10 times y, and I said it was minus what? 25, right? But it's the minus x, so it's minus 25, right? I said x was minus 25 equals y to the 15. Well, let's try this out. Minus minus makes this a plus, and we're just going to erase it like this. So we can see what's going on. This just becomes 25. Yep, 25 minus 10 equals 15. That means it works, right? Let's try this guy down here. So this is 9 added to this. Once again, it's confusing. 9 plus minus x equals minus 19, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take 9 off of this one, take 9 off of this one. Minus x equals minus 28. Therefore, x has to equal 28. Let's test it, see if it makes sense. So I'm saying, I'll put this up here, x equals 28. Let me see if it works for my problem, all right? I'm going to erase all this. Try it out. Here we go, ready? M to the 9 times m, and this is where my minus is really important, minus 28 equals m to the minus 19. We just add those, it would end up becoming minus 19. That's simple, right? So you can kind of see what's going on here. I'm doing the same thing over and over. You can figure these out on your own using this same technique, right? Let's look at these down here. This is fairly straightforward compared to what we've been looking at. If this is 7 and this is minus 13, what would this be if you add them together? 3 to 7, 3 to the minus 13. You got it. It's just 3 to the minus 6. That I put this in A, right? And then we're doing the same thing. Find the value of x. Well, if I'm looking for this to become x to the 10, what must x equal if this was a 5? Right? You can figure that one out. It's pretty straightforward. Exponents are tricky, but this kind of helps if you do it this way.